तो आपने क्या महसूस किया, क्या हुआ आपसे?
When he first said that I can't come for one day, I'll come for 5 days, I was like, but I don't know, I won't be able to pay you for 5 days. He said, you're not talking about money, I just want to be part of the group if I'm doing something. I don't want to come for one day. And it was amazing, that was the first time I saw him living NBC, and the quality of listening that we often talk about, just by being there and talking to somebody who had met him for the first time.
I remember his love for people being able to talk in their native language. He translated the book in Gujarati, which I gave to my mom. And obviously I cannot share a lot of NBC, I don't know the terms and I cannot explain it to her in Gujarati, but that book has little access to this world and what I am doing. So I'm really grateful. And I always wanted to, maybe later I will talk to him more, get to know more, learn. Because Gujarati, Hindi, both these languages I do know, and learn bit more about this work and what to do. And in my mind somewhere yes, later I will talk to him and get some more mentoring from him. But I think what he has given me is this understanding that when people speak in their own language, with whatever they are comfortable, it's completely different. I remember I was been speaking in English mostly in that convention, and he was there, and I just started speaking in Gujarati, even though I do not speak Gujarati so much. My heart responded completely differently to what I was telling him. So there is, even though I feel अच्छा मैं नहीं बोलती हूँ Gujarati इतना, maybe I don't have that connection, that's not true. That's the language I grew up listening to. So he opened that world of language for me and connection to a language, and how it's very different. Each language has its own flavor and beauty. So yes, even though I did not get a chance to really probably study with him or be with him, but I take that seed of that understanding with me about the importance of language and being able to speak in language you're comfortable with.
Certification process. We were together for more than 9 months. Did a lot of peer coaching together, and very personal things were shared. So he helped a lot there, but I really didn't know how good he was at all this, because he never spoke about it, but he used a lot of it and really helped me. And I got to know much later because Martha talked about him, and the peace that he exuded was the strongest point, and just hands like that. And I attended, I was very fortunate that I got to attend a session of NBC by Dilip and Ben. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today. Because I was introduced to NBC by them. It came as a big shock to me when I got the email from Beth and Martha.
2004, the IIT Bangalore. He sort of brought a new light to the whole concept of NBC in India, because right from the beginning he was passionate about NBC in India, and he understood it. He had a different picture of NBC as representing in the many languages, the richness of India, and he wanted to bring that out. And even right after the IIT, now that we are going to talk about sustainability and all, he already formed a group and started connecting with people and trying to organize. He was, as you said, he was a very humble man, very erudite and very. He's a professor, I think, so he knew what he was talking about, and a very simple man. I always has this picture of him dancing around with Agiat, like a road track, with this paper police stuff. Beautiful, beautiful pictures. And he had a struggle. I was at the time the Asian coordinator for this, and he had a struggle trying to get this published. And he put in a whole lot of work, but he was having a hard time trying to get this published. And so we worked together and tried to work with the Dance Press. And finally, when it was released, he was really delighted. It was sort of a landmark work in the sense that is the first Indian publication of NBC in the Indian language.
Speak peace in the world of conflict in Tamil language and Sinhalese language in Sri Lanka. Because of him only, I really got the idea to translate this book instead of the language of life, because I think Speak Peace in the world of conflict is really suitable to Sri Lanka. Then recently we started translating the book Speak Peace in the World of Conflict in Tamil. We almost finished one chapter, and that time I was thinking to express my gratitude to him, and then only I got this news. So it is still a shock to me, and I'm really gratitude to him, and I will think of him definitely with that book. And that book I will make real contribution to Sri Lanka. Many people going to benefit with that.
यूज़ करना चाहिए। तो उससे पहले भी मैं बच्चों के साथ पढ़ाता था, लेकिन जो दिल से पढ़ाने की जो गिफ्ट जो भेंट थी वो दिलीप जी की वजह से मिली। और जब सम्यक ने मुझे फ़ोन पे बताया, और उस टाइम पे भी मैं स्कूल में ही था, तो मुझे बहुत बुरा लगा था उस टाइम कि जो मिला था उनके वजह से, तो मेरे लिए बहुत ये था। और देखना उनकी वजह से वो निकला मेरे साथ, तो वो मेरे लिए बहुत अच्छी बात थी। और दूसरी बात ये थी कि जो ट्रांसलेशन का हमारा प्रॉब्लम आता था, तो उसके वजह से बहुत से लोग, हमारा जो ग्रुप में से बहुत से लोग नहीं बोलते थे ट्रांसलेशन को, कि नहीं जानते होती थी, नहीं होता वो सब कुछ। तो वो जो कॉन्फिडेंस था, वो जो आत्मविश्वास था, तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ हमको जिनकी वजह से मिला है। तो इसीलिए आज तक हम आ रहे हैं, तो हम छोड़ रहे हैं। जो चाहत है हमारे सीखने की, वो कायम रखी उनके वजह से।
One of the key things that you are saying, and a lot of their all their efforts and sensitivity and consciousness to always spot somebody who needs translation and make sure to give that person a voice is something that he's saying has made them come again and again to NBC. Otherwise it would never have been possible for them to come, because when they were there, they ensured that there was translation all the time, and they were always on top of it. That's something that all of us remember very dearly. And he was also talking about how he used to work with the schools, but when he met Dilip and learned about how do you work with children speaking language of the heart, that really benefited him, and he still continues to work in the school inspired with that.
And I happened to come across the NBC book in a library, and it fascinated me. And they said, okay, I know somebody you can go meet. And it just so happened that I called them and I said, I want to come visit. And they said, yeah, they were willing to have me over. And I remember trying to cancel the visit later because of some other commitment. And I thought, okay, it's my need, so what is it their need? They'll say no and it's okay. And the thing which made me attend was Dilip calling and saying, I'm very disappointed that you can't make it. And at that time I felt that here is somebody who doesn't even know me. And I said, I want to come and connect with you. And they invited me to their house. And when I said I can't make it, it was actual disappointment from his side where I felt cared for. And when I went to their house, even a small detail like the lunch that they offered me, and the care which Betty took in finding out about my needs, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because I saw living, breathing examples at NBC. It was so beautiful. And I spent just maybe an hour or 2 hours with them, but the little that I heard from them about NBC, etc., it really did bring about quite a deep change in me, because of which I stayed connected with them and because of which I've come back again. And I had another opportunity of meeting them after Betty's mother passed away. And both of them are very different, but so similar at the same time. And Dilip, even without saying too much, he just said a few things which made such a deep impact. And I just consider myself really, really lucky to have met him and known him for that short while. I had the slight errand of passing over his translation from one hand to the other, and I just consider myself so fortunate to have known him for that time. I'm really blessed.
And Swati, and I always wondered, who's this Dilip bhai? And I had a chance to meet both Dilip and Beth actually in a party of one of our CFT coaching party in Bombay, and even before I could have any conversation, and Beth came to me and she said something which is very which was really special. She said, both your brothers have such special names. How could you have a name which is a common name? And it was like she didn't even know me at some level. She related. She said, how can that happen, that your parents have not given you a distinguished name? So it was really touching that was the beginning of my relationship. And about Dilip bhai, so much we are talking. I have just seen him silent. He was humility personified. And the song that Agyat was showing just now, the Bada Wala Medak, and we were just standing outside in the previous convention. And I said, I would like to hear it. And he did it for me. And that was my last interaction, and that's how I remember him. And what I think what I'm going to keep with me is the meeting that we had about organizing NBC and the sustaining NBC. He just had one line: make practice groups. And I don't remember anything from those meetings. I just remember Dilip bhai's voice: practice groups, practice groups. It's really a big loss. I mean, I really used to see him as somebody who was living NBC.
And I must have made a really warm connection with him, because I think the next year or the year after that, we ran some events, some NBC trainings together near Pune, in Baja Retreat Centre. And I remember him, Beth, and Krista and myself when we ran those trainings several years. I can't remember how many years, 3 or 4 years maybe. Baja Retreat Centre. Yeah. So my main memories of him are from that time. And I remember we had some quite difficult times that we went through. And I remember that Dilip, he was almost unflappable. He was like, he would just kind of carry on patiently connecting with people and communicating with people. And I was really struck by his patience and his kind of solidity. Even when he was kind of really struggling himself, he was very solid and very patient and supportive, supporting the common effort. So those are the main time that I had contact and friendship. I remember last year on the convention in Kochi, I remember we were in a session together about a very painful event that had happened in Delhi during the year. And I remember, I think we might have been the only 2 men in the room, I'm not sure. There might have been another. Anyway, I remember that we both responded in our different ways. And I felt a very strong sense of kind of companionship with him during that session. A kind of strength, something like strength, something solid, some sense of solidity. And on the same convention last year, he was asking me and talking to me about how could we create harmony in the NBC community in India. So he was always interested, like, what can we do to kind of create harmony? So those are my 2 last memories of him.
Conventions, and really I always had difficulty throughout the conventions that I've attended, there was always talk about start practice group, but I was at a loss of how to do it. And the first convention, I was just, he was in my home group, and there were things that we shared in the home group, and just his presence would really make me peaceful. He just didn't have to say anything. The empathy just showed in his face, in his presence. And
just because he is one of my soul friends, he is one of my friends who is in my soul. So I love him very much. So the one thing which I would like to request you in this moment, and that's my intention, that's my proposal, came from there to say a few things about him. My intention, my purpose is that the one message is, we all love him, if we all know him, and we all have come across the energy which he has around his body, and if we have really physically experienced him, and also socially, if you have experienced him, then please, the one message from my side, and it is also the message for myself, and I apply in my heart, is that the best energies and efforts that he tried to spread NBC all around by translating books in India. He was the first person to do that, and he was supporting me all the way to make the NBC Marshall's book, to translate it into Odia. He doesn't know Odia. But still, he told, I am there with you, Param. You start off. And then I started. But with only 2-3 pages. It's half done. So that is one thing from my heart I would like to say you all. It's my request that if you really experience experience the connection with Dilip, then please, in your state, in your district, or maybe in your country, do a small step that is called Dilip. When you will remember him forever when you see that book. That yes, this is what it is. Translate a book. Translate and this is book. And then spread the message of NBC.